Da da da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And today was a day for getting things done. Sometimes I have to be my own cheerleader in things. And I recognize quite often that in getting things done, more often than not, I use you're not working hard, Cindy. You're going to be late, Cindy. Oh my goodness. What are you doing, Cindy? Rather than being that person that encourages me to do a good job, encourages me to show up, encourage me to smile and recognize that everything is going to be okay. Because in truth, everything is going to be okay, right? I say this to myself all the time in those moments of unsureness. I would say things like, well, I'm still going to wake up tomorrow, right? When things are not going well, sometimes we think that we're just supposed to move through life and everything is just supposed to run so smoothly without any hiccups or kinks in it. There is no true growth in that because in that you're just kind of like floating around with things, right? And yeah, sometimes we learn through that experience of being bruised and what we're being washed up against or what we're being bumped up against. But for the most part, right, it's easy breezy. You're just floating along. You're still going to be here tomorrow. I only use that when things are so bad that I have no idea how I'm going to get out of it. But I trust and know that I will get out of it. And so I have to be my own cheerleader. I have to be my own pep talk person to say, hey, right? Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Well, I wouldn't say don't worry about it because, right, being highly sensitive and empathic, we worry about everything. Sometimes I think I look for things to worry about in all truth. Today was a day of reflection. Today was a little bit of forward thinking and doing a little bit of not necessarily compounding goals, but looking out for where's the direction I want to go in this year? What are the topics that I want to delve into a little bit deeper, right? What do I want to do about that roof over my head and how I put it over my head, right? And what that roof actually looks like. There are options in my life, and it's going to be through my choices that that movement is going to happen, right? Am I going in that direction, that direction, that direction? Or am I going to be a multitasker like I usually am and take on a few things? I think it's healthy to take on a few things because when we have just that one thing, we say, leave me alone. I just need this one thing, this one project. Just let me concentrate on this. Let me get this done, right? And then you get into it and being highly sensitive and empathic, right? Maybe a little bit of ADHD, right? Maybe a little bit apprehensive, maybe a little bit of stress and worry whether or not you're capable of showing up to the table. And you are capable of showing up to the table, but we think this, right? That's that little bit of self talk, that little bit of self sabotage sometimes, right? And again, we have to be our cheerleaders sometimes in order to show up the way that we want to show up. And sometimes when we want to show up, we still don't show up the way we want to show up. And then that's when we have to take a look at ourselves and again be that cheerleader and say, hey, well, at least you showed up, right? There are people who wouldn't even do that much. At least you showed up. In the easy breezy, there isn't those kind of lessons. Without those problems and hiccups and those things you have to resolve, those things we stress and worry about, right? Those are the things that give us things to do, right? Things to fill in the time, the things to make that path a little bit easier, but you're making it easier by resolving problems and resolving issues. And when you do that, you're having experiences, and those experiences offer up tools, right? Tools that will help us out in the next problem we have to resolve, right? And it doesn't make that problem, well, it makes that problem easier to resolve, but it makes it so we can take on bigger problems, right? Because we have more tools and bigger tools. Today, it was a day of getting things done. It was a day for being in reflection. Today was a little bit of thinking about my future, where I want to go. It was about taking a look at some of those relationships I have, taking a look at some of those hiccups again, right? Some of those things that I didn't get quite right last year, some of those goals that I set for myself and didn't achieve. Yeah, I make a list. I work hard to achieve the things that I put on my list, because the things that I put on my list are the things that are rewards for me. They are things that preoccupy me to make sure that I'm making movement, right? And that's what I was saying there before I got sidetracked, that it's sometimes very good to have a little bit of that multitasking, because again, if you're a little ADHD, if you're a little bit of hypersensitive or a little bit of highly sensitive or empathic, you worry a little bit about what other people think, right? Quite often we can talk ourselves out of the task that we're trying to get done, right? And we'll jump up and we'll find things to do. Like for me, I'll go wash dishes, I'll do laundry, I'll go to the grocery store, I'll text messages, I'll go, oh my goodness, there's my favorite thought leader, what's he got to say today? And I stop whatever I'm working on to do these things. So when I'm multitasking, when I have a few projects on the table and I have that major one that I'm working on, I'm trying to get done, but in my stress and in my worry, right, and that little bit of self-sabotage, I'm a little bit stressed out. I'm not going to get it done, right? And so I start talking myself out of it, and I get up and I start jumping up and I start doing other things, right? And then it doesn't get done. But if I move into those other things, those other projects, those other goals, those other interests that I have on the table in those lists of things that I need to get done, that when I have those feelings, right, when that little bit of ADHD kicks in, when that uncertainty kicks in, when that self-sabotage kicks in, and that frustration of, what was I thinking about, right? I don't get this. And then, right, I get to just jump in to one of those other goals, one of those other things that I needed to accomplish or I wanted to work on, or whether it was even just a hobby or a kindness. Like this weekend, I had a set of things, a little list of things that I needed to get done, right? I had a video that I needed to get edited. It's ready to go. It'll be up tomorrow, you guys. If you want to see the next installment of my Ontario provincial park tour, that's going to be up tomorrow. I got that done. I got laundry done. I've got some appliances donated, and I got some appliances sent out to the trash. I got some messaging done. I got some small promises that I made to myself done. I have a few other things. I'm working on cutting out my cards for my deck of 54 powerful words. So I've been working on that in between, right? Again, it's one of those projects that when I want to stall out and go do something brainless and easy and nothing, right? I can't do that. And then I just jump in to something else that I am working on. And I got stuff done, right? And that's how I get things done. It's a little bit of a trick to my mind, right? Because my mind really just does want the couch and the remote controller to dig into the kitchen cupboards or right run off to the grocery store, anything except the task at hand, the task that for whatever reason I'm having a moment with. And when I have that moment, if I can just remember that I have other things, right? Other things on the list that need to get done. So, you know what? We'll stall out on this one for a few minutes or a half an hour. We'll work on this instead of heading to the kitchen cupboard or, right? Going brainlessly into my phone. And I'm not a big person on my phone. I use my phone, but I'm not on it constantly, right? Getting older, maybe it's the eye thing, right? Because your eyes don't get as strong and the phone is just a little screen. I like the big monitors. I am a YouTube girl. I love working in YouTube and I love taking in my lessons and I love, right? My laptop, it is a process because it is a smaller screen. I do love the PC, right? But the smaller ones, and it is just in that practice that things get a little bit easier. Like even editing my videos is a little bit easier. I'm doing it a lot faster and I'm learning. Every time I edit a video, I learn something else about my editing program that makes things a little bit easier, not making it so easy that it's easy breezy and then couch remote control kind of situation, but makes it a little bit easier so I can take on a little bit more, so I can make it more challenging, so I can make it a bigger project, so that I can put more special effects into it. You know what I mean? So, when we say, we learn these things to make our lives easy, yes, it makes our lives easy. But as we're making things easy, we're adding more onto the plate because we're adding more onto the plate because we're more capable, right? We've learned a little bit more. We're able to have a little bit more practice in things and be a little bit more hands on with things. And then we just, right? It just means that we can bring on more. It doesn't mean that, oh my goodness, done, right? And then just sit back and watch the world go by, right? And so this is the little trick that I do. I don't know why that came out. There was obviously a reason. I'll come back into my live after I've done and watch it over for myself just to see if maybe there was something in there for me. One thing about coming in late and doing my podcast late in the evening is that I have the experience of the course of my day to use as a backdrop of experience in the conversation that we're having in the moment. And it helps me out lots because I'm not backtracking, right? It's a recent memory. So of course during the course of the day when these things happen, it's a little bit fresher. And lots of times I come into these live shows later in the evening and it's the residue, right, of my day. It's the residue of what I'm reflecting on. It's the residue of the problems, and it's the residue of the different things that I've accomplished that become the subject of what I'm coming in on my lives with, right? Let me just get these notifications out of the way. I hope everybody is having an amazing week. Melvin is here. Oh my goodness, I didn't see you, Melvin. Also had a short encounter with two Arctic wolves. Arctic wolves? Oh my goodness. The Arctic wolves are the big ones, Melvin. A polar bear followed our camp. I figured out the juggies had picked up a a dead seal carcass and had it in the back of the jug truck. Bear was following the bear was smelling but what about the wolves, Melvin? What about the wolves? You know, here in Manitoba, we have a lot of coyote. We have a lot of wolves, right? And I was actually having this conversation with one of my customers this weekend. In all actuality, there are only two attacks, wolf attacks, known documented wolf attacks here in Manitoba. One is fairly recent. It was probably 10 or 15 years ago, and it was a lady who stopped alongside the highway and decided to offer potato chips to a wolf, and she got bit. The second one is only in a documentation of in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I don't sure for sure. He was a trapper. They only found his gun and rounds from the gun and some carcasses of wolves. He had backed himself up into a tree and he set off a whole bunch of rounds at a bunch of wolves. They only know this because of the wolf tracks and the carcasses of the wolves that were around them. They saw the drag marks of where the body was dragged off, but they never did find the body. But there was enough evidence in what do you call it, the location of the incidents to prove that he was attacked by wolves, right? But that's so interesting, Melvin, right? For me, yeah, bear attacks. When my dad was big on the outdoors, we did lots of camping as a family. And bears would come right into our tents, right into our camps. We learned to hang our food up in the trees, right? Um, and then again, I was living in BC, and I don't know if there are more bears in BC, but I've seen bears here in Manitoba, right? But I've never seen a polar bear up. Oh, that's not true. I can't say I've never seen a polar bear up close because it's in a Boyne Park in the zoo. They have polar bears at the zoo, and I have seen the polar bears at the zoo. They're not technically white in all truth. Polar bears actually's fur is kind of a mousy kind of yellow color, right? Stained nicotine colors, fur. Yeah, I have seen polar bears. I hope your week is good. I love your outdoor. Like, have you always had jobs, Melvin, that have been out in the field, like out in the bush or out in the farm fields? Like, you like to work out in the outdoors? And working, I guess, with big machinery and stuff too. You like working with the big machinery. You're always right. Yeah. But I'm coming in tonight only because, tomorrow I won't be coming in live tomorrow because I'll be putting up a video. I'll be posting a video, and I decided a new part of my routine to give some actual space where I actually have time for relaxation, because even though I come in live late, and lots of times coming in late is a procrastination. I'm just putting it off. We'll go, oh, in a half an hour, oh, in an hour, wait until I finish do the dishes, just like I was talking, right? Or I'm procrastinating in the other projects that I do, right? So the idea for me is to, in that, not procrastinating, to try to come in a little bit earlier, right? To try to come in a little bit earlier in my lives. But I do worry, and I do stress, and I do feel bad in that procrastination. And sometimes that procrastination starts because I say, well, this evening I want the evening together, so I think I'll go live, do my live this afternoon and get it out of the way, right? And then I procrastinate, but I'm still thinking about it. I'm still feeling bad because I haven't gotten it done, and I'm thinking of topics of, whoa, what's the topic we'll talk about today? And it's just layered on. So truly in that span, I'm not getting really anything done because I'm still thinking about my life, right? And then, the guilt and shame kind of shows up in that procrastination. Yeah. Procrastination has been a topic of discussion in my mind and in the lessons for a few weeks now, right? And it's because of that slump that I fell into. And I did. Wasn't my intent, but I fell into some kind of slump right after my holiday ended. And I knew even before I left that would happen. And I had things in place so that when I got home, I could just move right into my other projects, those things that I want to accomplish this year, those new goals that I've set for myself in that fiscal year that starts after my trip ends. But I just couldn't do it. Yeah. That push was a push. And I pushed back, and I still got things done, but I got things done in those minute, right, pieces. I got that done in baby steps. And even though, right, I felt like a slug, things still got accomplished. I still got the things done, but it just took me a little bit longer, and it just took a little bit more energy than I thought that I was going to have when I got back from my holidays, right? But things pop into our life unexpectedly, and you have to be able to roll with those, right? Like I said, that's when you start riding those waves and bringing those tools and those lessons to the surface, right? To make it a little bit easier, knowing that you can do it, right? Because you had the prerequisite of the lessons that you needed before that, right? And now they're just constantly on your tool belt. And now you can push a little bit harder. Now you can ride a little bit bigger waves, right? And this is what the fiscal year is bringing me this year. I'm convinced of it, right? Everything is signaling it. So I've got to kind of prepare myself in that, right? And just work a little bit harder to stay on top of it a little bit better. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. I have to come back in for that one. I came in and watched my live this morning. I said I was going to do it last night, but after my live last night, I just said, oh, I'm so tired. And I just went to bed. But when I got up this morning, I watched my live from last night, and there was a lesson like I knew there would be for me, right? So maybe it'll be the same thing tonight when I come in or tomorrow morning. We'll see. You guys, watch out for my video tomorrow. I'll probably posting it probably 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, right? And then I'm gonna have myself an amazing day. Maybe I'll go out with my sister. Maybe I'll just spend it on my own. I still have my jewelry board to clean up. I have some clothes for the closet to tidy up. Few extra projects that will make next week, right, fall into place a little bit nicer, a little bit easier, only so that I can bring on a little bit more, right? And that's the way it works. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. Thank you, Melvin, for popping into my live tonight. For those of you who pop in later, I hope you're having an amazing week. Take care.